Craveable Podcast, Season 2, Episode 6. Fast, familiar, and fancy.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Welcome to the Craveable Podcast, where real matters. We are your hosts, Ben and Katie, and the show is brought to you by Fossil Farms. You might be wondering, dear listeners, what the heck we mean with this title. Fast, familiar, and fancy. And I will let the man, the myth, and the legend who conceptualized, who incepted this title.
Fair.
Explain that to you. So Ben, passing the reins here.
Well, we want to talk about some of our favorites. We work with places all across the country, but those are hard to get to. So we're going to stay a little bit locally. And so what I mean by
his
fast, familiar, and fancy is, where do we go for something fast and quick and delicious? Where do we go on a regular basis for, a midday meal? You're actually going to sit down someplace familiar, cozy, tasty. And then what's the fancy place? Where do you go for your birthday? Where do you go for your mom's birthday? Where do you go for your mom's prom? I don't know. Wherever you go to celebrate something, maybe she went back to school. I don't really know. But where do you go where you're like, I'm going here once every other year or something like that? Where do you really treat yourself? Let's start with the fast, because the fast and the familiar, that's kind of like, that's my wheelhouse. I was trying to shoehorn a Fast and Furious joke in there somewhere, but I couldn't find it in time, obviously. I mean, fast food is something I think people think of McDonald's, they think of Burger King, they think of other garbage like that. I think of some place where I can either call ahead and pop in for a sandwich to go, or call ahead and get your burrito or tacos to go, or a platter, or a goat curry. Oh, really good.
How is that? Never mind.
It's very fast.
That's okay. The opposite.
So let's start with that. You love your comfort food.
I want to say, that regardless of my opinion and my level of agreeance or disagreeance with you, there are many people who do not think that McDonald's and Burger King are garbage food. And I would just like to let everyone know that that is Ben's opinion. And everyone is allowed to like whatever they like.
Yeah, you can like whatever you want.
Anyway.
And be wrong.
Okay. Ben has a lot of opinions. If you've made it this far, you know that now. For me, is it you're asking me that question?
Yeah.
About the fast?
Are you seriously asking me that to my face?
Pizza is probably number one. Pizza all the time.
True.
I could eat pizza all the time. I live above a pizza restaurant. I love pizza.
And it's got a very New Jersey themed pizza place name. What's it called?
It is Godfather's.
Godfather's Pizza.
There's the plug.
I love that.
No, I love Godfather's, and then I live across the street from another one, and there's just endless pizza for miles and miles. It's great.
Yeah, they will make you a pizza you can't refuse.
It's true. That's their slogan.
Is it?
The pizza you can't refuse. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't
what else
know that.
would it be?
Right.
Great. And then if you actually, this is really funny. If you go, this is really funny. If you go on their website and you have like your volume turned up, it just has like the slow Godfather theme music playing in the background.
I've not been on a website that auto plays music in a long
funny.
time.
They might have changed that since I was last on the website.
I hope
but
so.
It's very funny.
What is it, a MySpace page?
Pizzas, that would be in my top 8. Pizza is for sure a go-to. It depends if I'm trying to be. It depends how healthy I'm trying to be. There's a lot of great places you can go and just grab a salad.
Boring.
I feel like whenever I want something fast, though, I don't get something healthy. Like I try to cook healthfully for myself at home, but I get, a sandwich. Like I'll go to the deli down the street, and get a nice
I don't have a good neighborhood deli. I think that's the thing.
I don't really, by me either. I kind of meant like here where we work.
There's
good ones.
And that kind of, it's interesting.
I do have one.
Between where you live, where the office is, and where I live, those almost touch on those points. In that I find where you live to be a little bit more casual and a little bit more familiar restaurants that I would go to more day to day, versus where I live is like a bit more fancy, a bit more thematic, where I'd be like, I'm only going here usually special occasions.
So interesting, because
and then here I feel like there's so many fast casual, super quick options because of the lunch crowd.
True, but this is very interesting because I feel the opposite way about where you and I live, and I think it must be that either I just don't know.
Well, you have 90 acres. I have Highland Pavilion.
Oh, 90 acres is not really where I.
You have
it's like
35
minutes away,
and I have.
We got Agricola. We got Roots. We got
you've chains. Not chain
soup. Jockey Hollow.
Multi-unit.
We got the French place, the Grand Cafe. Listen, I'm not trying to throw shade. I'm just saying. Obviously, I don't know about your fancy.
No, I wish Liz was here. Our old friend Liz, she would be like, "No, we actually have all these things." I think my town has more variety. The only reason we're not naming these towns, and we probably can, but I don't think you guys need to know where we live. I live in Montclair. It's very nice for restaurants. Might as well get out of the way.
A quick Google search will yield the results that they need, Ben.
Yeah, and then Morristown's a little younger. That's where Katie lives. So
wow.
we're just going to get out of the way.
Wow, you want my social? Like, the heck? Anyway.
I was trying to think of what it is.
Keep going. You don't know my social security number.
Oh, not your I thought you meant your social media.
They know my social media.
That's why
Stacey posts it all the time.
That's why I was stopped in my tracks.
Oh my goodness. All right, continue.
Pizza's high on my list as well. But I think that there's so many fast places in Boonton where the office is. And there's, I guess there's some fancy restaurants kind of around here. I'm sure if they were listening that they'd be like, no, we're definitely fancy. I disagree. There's not a place that's like not a destination that I would come to in Boonton. Morristown and Montclair literally have across the state of New Jersey restaurants people will drive for hours to come to.
Yeah, fair enough. I will say I gotta give this shout out though. Reservoir Tavern in Boonton. Ooh, that is a great place. Everyone loves that place.
I've never been there. Where's that?
You've never been there? TJ made it.
TJ audibly gasped.
TJ is a gas ride. Ben, you've
never I'm on the other end of the stick.
This is unreal, first of all. Okay, so you gotta drive. It's like almost out of Boonton. It's like down that way, I think. It's down that way.
You're pointing in a direction that means nothing.
Yeah, well, it does physically because it's that way from where we're sitting right now. It's been around forever. Yeah, TJ, I'll tell you, it's incredible Italian food, homemade, fantastic atmosphere. I met the one of the owners, technically the owner's son, at the gym a couple weeks back, and I was like, "You own Reservoir Tavern?" It's like anytime I've only been there. I love you. I've only been there a couple times, but every time I've gone, it's packed. It's like the people who are sitting at the bar are having conversations with the bartenders like they've known each other for 15 years.
That's the kind of neighborhood spot.
It is. I mean, it's just so good. The food is so good. So like, no, it might not be like, I also feel a lot of times like that special occasion place, people kind of categorize that by how much it costs. You know what I mean? Like,
that's how I was doing it.
I know that's how you're doing it. I gather that much, but you don't need to, I mean, that place
I can't eat like it's my mom's prom every night.
No, that's a special occasion. We all know that. But no, Reservoir Tavern is phenomenal. It's so good. I'm like floored that I can't believe you. I can't believe it. Everyone I've talked to, even my boyfriend, who I didn't even know about it, I was like, "Oh, I met the owner of Reservoir Tavern." He was like, "Oh, I love that place."
Never even heard of it.
Oh, wow. Yeah, you got to go.
I think I'm very particular in where I go out to eat.
Oh, you? Particular about food? No. No.
Whatever.
That's very particular. Lots of opinions.
I don't know.
Anyway, Reservoir Tavern's great. I do agree with you. Boonton has a lot of, but let's like go. Well, I guess we can't. You don't really like chains. You don't really.
No, I mean for me, yeah, there are fast.
No,
there are fast chains that I like. We can talk about that. I like Taqueria. I said to TJ before we started recording the episode, I was like, maybe I shouldn't talk about Taqueria, but that really does fit my like fast
Taqueria is good
thing. And there's a taco place / burrito place down the street from me on Broad Street called Tacos La Gringa, which is awesome.
Perfect for you.
They have a delivery vehicle, right? That's got a full wrap on it, and it has a cartoon blonde hair, blue eyed lady in like a chef's outfit holding a plate with a taco on it.
Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah, it's fascinating because the family that owns it and is working there every single day are not gringos. I mean, it's
anyway,
the name of the restaurant. Really good burritos, exceptionally good tacos. Very simple, just your sweet onion, cilantro on top with your protein, corn tortillas, salsa verde.
Sounds very good. I also like Taqueria, but like I also like Qdoba. But there is a place, a newer taco place in Morristown that got rated like I think the best or one of the best tacos
I was hoping you bring
in the state. Yeah, it's Central Taqueria, and I've only been there once. I need to go more. I don't go out to eat that often, but it is an awesome place. The people who own it, first of all, it's in this really small spot that was actually a Baskin Robbins when I was growing up. And then it was like a couple other random, like a pizza place and then a sandwich shop that was very short-lived. But it's quite a small spot, not many tables. And from what I read on it and what I kind of just gathered being there, the owners just wanted to bring like super, super authentic tacos and like to be available, like just incredibly authentic. Like, a lot of places do kind of authentic things, but they do spin-offs. And I mean, they're just good and simple, and like everything is prepared. This sounds so cheesy, but like literally made with love and care and time.
I want to pull up the menu right now. It sounds so good. I've been hearing about this place.
Yeah, it's really good. And I remember the first time I went, they had they had just opened, and they have various like iced teas and lemonades, and they had like this chia seed lemonade, and they were like, "Oh, try this," and they like passed me a cup of lemonade. I was like, "You're the sweetest. This lemonade's delicious. Thank you."
I'll take two.
I'll take two. But no, so that place is really good. Definitely good for fast. And this is America. You can get anything you want fast. It's a good point. Got it.
This is a really good point.
So Friendly.
Stop me in my tracks.
I mean, I got Friendly. I feel like, I feel like I unknowingly hit the nail on the head with the Reservoir Tavern, because that's like, I mean, it's like Cheers in that place. It's like, everybody, they know your name. You're talking with your server about your kid or something like that. And that's the kind of place that I think of like Friendly. That's where you go.
I'm trying to think of what the place. Oh, I go to the Clover Inn in Verona. That's like my
Never even heard of that
spot. Or is it not Verona? Either way, Cloverleaf Tavern. That's what it is. My apologies.
That sounds more familiar.
Yeah, really good. I think they recently started getting some game burgers from us, but they do like a beer masters program. So you go and you try like every single beer that they offer, and they'll mark it off.
That's why I like it.
Get a name on the board. I haven't done that. I don't really drink that much. It's not my poison. But I really like going there because it's a simple menu, doesn't change too often, but when it does, it's something solid that they know is going to work. That's, not hit or miss. It's always going to be hit. And they have variety too. They'll do like your classic tavern fare, burgers and sandwiches and etc. But they also have like this like Thai shrimp bowl, which is really interesting. They do your classic fried pickles, but then we'll have some other specials every now and then. So it's nice as a place that I like to go to, a place that you know what you're getting every single time, very consistent. And because you're going so often, they know you want to see something fresh, so they're always changing it up. Plus, they do those giant slices of cake for dessert, which is like, I'm a real sucker for that. I think that's like classic Americana. It's like a really tall, several layered cake. Something about that, right, guys? I'm getting nods from the
I was
audience.
thinking diner. Like that's such a random.
Yeah, it's almost diner-esque, but it's like a pub tavern.
No, the cake specifically. Like that just makes me think of diner.
Yeah. And I love my French pastries and stuff. I'm not crazy about cake, but something about that, man.
Pastries.
Something about an obnoxious slice of cake. What's more American than that?
Apple pie. But no, I get that. I think it's interesting you mentioned about the menus changing, because for me, I have like, I know we're not at fancy yet, but if I go to a fancy restaurant, whatever I consider fancy, and, like I went there for my birthday last year, and then I come again this year.
We're fine dining even.
And the menu is like exactly the same. I get kind of irritated. I'm like, there was those couple things I wanted off the menu and I got them, and I want to get something else now.
Correct.
So I change it. But then there's also places like Sterling Tavern in Morristown is not fine dining, but it's pretty nice. And they...
last time I went was with you. After we went ramping.
For ramps, yes.
That was really good.
I really, really like that place. And they do change their menu decently often. However, it is with a heavy heart that I announce that I had one of the best things I've ever had there like 4 years ago. And I've never seen it on the menu since.
What?
I might have talked about it in the podcast. I don't know. I was there with my mom. It was so good. It was literally an appetizer. It was French breakfast radishes, halved, beautiful greens still intact, and a bowl of pistachio whipped ricotta.
Oh, you did talk about this.
I talk about it as much as I can. And it had a little drizzle of pistachio oil on the ricotta and a sprinkle of like flake salt. And then the radishes were artfully arranged, tucked around the inside of the bowl of the ricotta. And I just can't tell you how flavorful it was. I go there and I talk to them about it. I'm like, how long have you worked here? Do you remember this? And
they're like, this was before COVID. The chef.
No.
left.
I do know one of the managers, and he was like, oh yeah, I do remember that. I was like, you need it. I need it. I need to have it. And so that was upsetting. I was like, you changed it. You did what? But other than that, I like menu changes. I'm into them, especially if it's a place that you go to often, because it's like, but everyone's different too. I feel like some people are like, this is my staple. This is what I get.
I hate staples. I need change on a menu. And there's a very egregious restaurant in Morristown that hasn't changed their menu in like a year and a half, even though they're a seasonal eatery. You know who you are. You know who I'm talking about. I'm not going to name drop.
Complain about the same things.
Drives me crazy. Drives me nuts to see a menu that says winter 22.
They have made slight changes.
Winter 24.
Okay, well, that's insane. And it's not. Oh, I guess it is winter 24. But anyway, so I'm for that. The friendly concept is interesting to me, though, because, like, I don't go out to eat a lot. You know what I mean? Pretty rarely, actually. So it'd be, even on special occasions, like I said, for Valentine's Day, I was like, yeah, I'm going to make these bison tenderloin steaks.
That's amateur night. You wouldn't go out. You're a professional.
Well, something to be said about steakhouses. Like, no.
You want to talk about that real quick? And how I absolutely despise
there's
steakhouses?
So many things you dislike. Yeah, I guess.
What's the point? You don't know how to cook a piece of red meat and a potato?
Don't, Ben. A lot of people don't. You sound so judgmental.
It is judgmental because you're overcharging for a steak. You can get the same steak from the same farm down the road, a place that's not a steakhouse. Your tomahawk's $150. Theirs is $79.99.
Ben,
why?
There are people that don't like to cook, that don't know how to cook, that have way too much money, that weren't raised around
wealth discrepancy
cooking.
Is ruining this nation.
No, I think you're being a little ridiculous. Yes, it's overpriced, but there are people that aren't comfortable cooking their own $50 steak, and they don't want to ruin it, and that's fine.
And they can go to the steakhouse for them, and I'm just going to share that I think it's silly.
Okay,
anyway. To have commodity beef at high-end prices like that. I think it's a disservice to people. I think a steakhouse is a ripoff, and we'll move on from there.
Yeah, let's move on. Anyway, back to friendly with Katie.
I thought it was familiar, but that's fine. We'll change it in post.
Oh, it's friendly. No, I like friendly better.
That's fine.
Yeah, so like for me, that's an interesting kind of category that we've created because I don't go out to eat that often. So it's like I do have some staple spots, but I'm not going there that often. I'm not, I'm just not really doing it. But I think, again, it's places like Reservoir Tavern that I said I've been to twice, but I love it. I should go more. I want to go more, and there's a couple places in Morristown that I, like and will go to for that kind of thing. But I don't know, like dining out is, and honestly, if I'm going to spend money on food that I didn't cook, I'm probably going to want to just get takeout and sit on my couch and eat it.
Yeah, that's fair.
So
that kind of is that's one of the things that's a shame if you're in a region that only has like fast casual dining and then high end fine dining. You don't get that middle of the road, like more casual spot. And I think people these days, I think we've talked about on the podcast, is like, where do you find that value in the middle of the road? Right?
I mean, value is very subjective.
Yeah.
That's different for
me, it's tough
everyone.
At the neighborhood spot to be like, well, your burger prices have gone up and I know you have to charge $18 for it, but it was $14, and like I'm not finding those $4 of value when everything else has gone up on the menu. So like a simple night out of eating, a beer and a burger and fries or whatever, say you spend $25. Now if that's $40, which I don't think is unreasonable to say that it would be as much as that.
I mean, it's not unreasonable.
That's a tough pill to swallow when a full entree with a drink at a fine dining place is $60. I'm paying $20 more for an exceptional experience versus a pretty good meal.
I get you for sure. I mean, I think that's something that has come into play as, a more recent issue because of the way everything has gone up in price. Yeah. And I mean, and you're not at all, expressing anger towards these operators because they have to.
Yeah.
Because their prices have gone up. What are they supposed to do? Just like make it work with a much smaller margin? Like, no, you can't. It's not how businesses operate. So I fully agree with you. And that's probably why too, like being someone who does enjoy cooking, like I don't really want to spend money on a prepared meal, whether it's takeout or dining out very often, because I'm like, well, now that it's this much, and I could just.
And you're breaking down meals in your head by the dollar too.
It's like I could really do this, tough. And then when you're dining out, then you got tip, and it's like, we're never going to under tip. Well, let's not touch that.
But we could talk about tipping real quick.
I wanted this to be a non-controversial episode.
I have European parents. They grew up not tipping. We came to the U.S. and like if my dad would visit me, we would be like, Dad, you please tip. It's very embarrassing for us if you do not tip because we're children and we can't. So, like, yeah, you can pretend you're German and they don't know. But I'm very much lately with the prices of everything going up and like the quality of service being absolutely terrible. Not great. I've had a lot of pretty nasty experiences, if I'm being honest. I've been doing 15%.
I wonder why you had those nasty experiences.
I'm a joy at the table.
Well, like I said, I don't go out to eat too often, but I pretty much am always going to be a 20% tipper.
Yeah.
The times I don't tip are when I'm like picking up to-go food and the POS is like, do you want to add a tip? And I'm like,
I stopped tipping on that 100% because I'm not tipping you for no effort.
Well, yeah.
Because I know it's not going to the guy who made it.
That's true. That's a good point. But no, my views on tipping have always been the same, and I will tip under 20%, but you have to earn that lack of a tip. You have to be really, really awful, and then I get angry and I feel like you don't deserve it because I've done all those jobs.
I'll over tip on other things. I feel like lately.
For sure. No,
I'm over tipping in my Uber all the time. I'm like, oh, you have to drive Uber for a living. Here's like $7 for this 10-minute ride.
Yeah, well, tipping is important. Tipping is definitely important. But why don't we? I think we were about to meander our way over to Fancy.
Fancy's one of those things that I think I find value in because, as we were saying, for me, variety is the spice of life. I like to go to a new restaurant. I like to be confident that the service is going to be good, especially these days. Need to be confident that the food's going to be good and that it's going to be creative because I want to go in and be like, oh, I tried this thing that I never tried before. I had this great experience. And at the end of the day, when the bill came and I had to put the tip and everything on there, the 20%, if Katie's coming,
we had a really good time.
I want to have a really good time and just have a great overall meal and experience with the service and everything from start to finish. So places that I like to go, and this isn't super high-end fine dining, but I really like Turtle and the Wolf in Upper Montclair. I've talked about it before.
I want to go there.
We should go there. High on our list. But there's that, to me, is like the menu for people like us. Foodies, it's seasonal, it changes up. There are staples. The guy always does his chicken pate. He does whole hogs that you can call ahead for. He does a fried chicken meal if you want to get comfort food. But then there's always going to be some like unique salads. There's always a really good fish dish. There's going to be a pasta. There's just some variety. And because the portions aren't so big, you can order your variety. Everybody can try something. And it's BYO, which is I'm a huge proponent of these days. It used to be a negative, like stopping to get a bottle of wine or blah, blah, blah. Now I'm like, you know what? I really don't want to pay you $18 for a single cocktail. Yeah. That's less than the bottle of wine that I'm bringing. Yeah. So you can bring 2 bottles, crack the second, or try some variety. That cuts down on the bill like crazy. I went with 3 friends fairly recently. I think it was like for the 3 of us, like $120 or something. Really? Like not even. And then with the tip, like call it $150. We ate a lot of food. Like we had like 6 different things off of the menu, you know? Yeah. Service was really good. They're hands-on, but not too pushy or anything like that because they have the same servers for years, which is so unusual. It's not like you're seeing new faces when you go in. That's the familiarity that I like, is the people being the same. And then like that creative juice flowing out of the kitchen is constantly pumping out something new. And that is why I absolutely love Turtle and the Wolf.
This episode is not sponsored by Turtle and the Wolf.
But I'm going there for my birthday.
but I do want to go there. Yeah, I love, it's not something that I do often at all. Frequently less than once a year, but I love, what I would consider like a fancy place. It's fun. It's not usually affordable, which is why I don't do it often. But I've really historically loved Jockey Hollow in Morristown. I haven't been in years. But every time I have been, the service is phenomenal. One time I just went and sat at the bar. I think I was waiting for my friend to meet me and like had a great rapport with the bartender. Like we had a great conversation. I was like, I don't really know what I want to drink. Maybe a great cocktail. And the service and food have always been really, really great. I know they changed up the menu. I actually went there once a really long time ago, maybe my first time, back when I was still cooking with my mom. And we sat, and I think this is kind of cool too. They have all the different levels. So we sat upstairs, which is where they do like the tasting menu exclusively. And we did the tasting menu, and then they have like the main level where they call it like a bar, but it's basically like regular dining, and they have pretty much a full menu to choose from, a la carte. And then they have kind of like the cellar downstairs where it's more of bar space and you can get some light snacks. And I think that concept is just cool in itself, that they have all those different levels.
So much effort on their part.
No, for sure. For sure. But yeah, if I just had copious amounts of expendable income, I'd be going out to fancy places all the time. They're fun. But it's not that's also what makes it, a special occasion. Like, let's go, here
Yeah, treat
for
yourself.
birthday or anniversary or this and that. I mean, coming from someone who used to work at one of those places, it makes sense. It's like when you, as a cook or whatever, you're looking at all the tickets coming through all night, and it's like more than 60% of the tables are like anniversary, birthday, anniversary, like whatever, honeymoon, whatever it is, like celebration and
honeymoon to Morristown.
I don't know why I said that. No, I'm talking about where I used to work. 98 years. Yeah, I don't really know why honeymoon just came out of my mouth.
That's okay.
That made no sense.
Mom's prom.
But talk about things that make no sense. But yeah, and it's like that's what you recognize it as like, okay, this is where I work at a celebration spot. Like that's why people come here. And it's also fun sometimes at fancy places. They have those tasting menus you can do, and it's like kind of choose your experience type vibe.
I love that. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, when it's feasible and, you have that occasion, that chance to go out, I think like that place that you hate in Morristown, which will remain unnamed, like I went there for my birthday twice in 2 years in a row because the food was good and the service was impeccable and
their service is great. Yeah, let me take it back real quick. Their service is fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, yeah,
fantastic,
amazing.
I have no complaints about that. I'm the lack of creativity coming out of the kitchen may not be the fault of their own. That's the only complaint I have. Everything else, great restaurant group, great restaurant, great space, great drinks, etc. Change it up. Make me come back.
Anyway, that's not, that's not as expensive as Jockey Hollow per se, but for me, I was like, yeah, I consider this fancy. Like this is, it's a pricier place. Sure. And it's, I mean, it's not, you're not going and sitting at, the office or like, you're not going to Friendlies or not Friendlies, TGI Fridays or something like that. And also not Friendlies.
Yeah, either way.
So yeah, I mean, I love to go to what I consider a fancy restaurant. It's a fun time. It's an experience.
Tasting menus are a great option for that, where I think I find a lot of value in like trying something different and getting dishes where you're like, I might not order that. So having it all on the menu and just forcing me to try it is always fun for me, where I'm like, maybe it wasn't great, but it's not really about everything being great. It's about something being different and being unique.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's an interesting, like that is true, I think, for like you and me and a lot of the people we know. But I mean, even I see, I mean, especially a longer tasting menu, like 6 or more courses, like it's pretty rare that I'm going to look at all of those courses and not see one ingredient that I don't love, that I will eat, but it's like, I don't, and it's often seeing something that I absolutely will not eat. Like truffles.
I was just going to say the tasting menu and the truffles really
and foie. And the caviar, like I don't like caviar either.
You don't like caviar?
I don't like caviar. But so there's a lot
caviar
of
is dope.
Like, for example, like sometimes I look at a tasting menu and I'm like, man, I love to go here. And then I'm like thinking, okay, I'll go with my boyfriend, right? And I'm like, well, he like is allergic to that. He would never eat that. Like he can't, and some places like where I used to work, you would tell them your allergies and aversions, and we would literally modify any of the 7 tasting dishes to accommodate you. And I used to go there for special occasions a lot, but a lot of places, especially nowadays, I feel like it's like, this is our menu. Tasting menu.
They don't have the
no modifications. Yeah. Like it's not an option.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be rude either, but it's like I'm not going to pay this money to eat something I don't want.
You're opening yourself up to a liability. I feel like. I mean, I'm not a lawyer, not a doctor. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a vet.
I mean, allergies.
What else?
Like,
I'm not a lot of things. Okay.
I think allergies
can be accommodated. If you're born with 30 food allergies, why are you going out to eat?
Well,
not that you don't have the right to go out to eat. Don't get the wrong idea. I think you should be able to go out to eat and find something that works. But if you're going to someone's restaurant who's opened a business, doing what they love, cooking food for people and being like, this is the menu I set and I hope you like it. And you come in and you're like, I can't eat any of this. Can you make me something else? Why did you go there to begin with?
I don't want to just like have the theme of this be me disagreeing with you, but I do disagree with you again.
That's fine.
Because I mean, imagine if you're that person, like, so because you have all these allergies, not only can you not eat so many things that maybe you were once able to eat or you've never tried, but then you're change to cook a bland, no, it doesn't have to be bland, that was insulting. You change to cook a meal at home for yourself every night for the rest of your life. Like, you're not allowed then to go out and have a meal prepared for you by a professional.
Well, is the professional supposed to curtail his entire day for your one food allergy out of 100,000 people he sees in a year?
I don't think that it would take an entire day to prepare a meal
You
for
have a tasting
someone with
menu,
food
and they can't
sensitivity.
eat most of the stuff
With a
on it.
tasting menu. You said go out to eat.
Or even, no, I think we were speaking specifically for a tasting menu when you have these
Yeah.
allergies and things like that.
That's a little different.
Yeah, I guess in the way I placed it, if you're going out and you have all these food allergies, you should pick a place that's accommodating, you know?
For sure.
There's an expectation sometimes, I feel like, when you go to a restaurant that they're just going to do everything for you. It's like,
Yeah.
these are human beings behind the line that probably have tickets running out like crazy, and then you come in with all your mods. I hate to say that, you know, you have every right to order it that way, and I believe they have more than every right to be like, no, we cannot accommodate you because of this. And does that suck for the one individual? Maybe, but like,
I do kind of feel like allergies are different, though. People can't control those. If you come in and you're like, I hate mushrooms, I can't have anything.
and some people
mushrooms.
treat their
I know they say
that they're
allergies.
allergies.
I know.
Yeah,
Well, when I was a cook, we used to have to, when they said no this, no that, we used to actually very often have to ask, is this an allergy or do you just hate this? Because we would have a sauce that had 40 ingredients in it.
right.
And one of them is something you listed on there that you literally can't taste at all. You're going to get none of that in there. And if you're not allergic to it, we're going to put the sauce on your plate. So a lot of times you have to ask, but.
And I mean, I think you kind of know where I'm coming from, because we work with people day in and day out who have food allergies, who have protein allergies, who have issues eating, dietary restrictions, dietary problems, medical issues. And I seriously want to accommodate as many people as possible so that they can eat well and be able to experience a good, full life, especially in terms of food, because that's my passion. But when you're interrupting someone else's business, and that's how I see it, you are coming in and you're interrupting business. If you're showing up on the fly, if you're calling ahead and they're accommodating, that's a totally different story. But if you come in with that little note card with 50 items you can't eat, I'm sorry, I don't think they should accommodate you.
Yes, I mean, that's a pretty extreme example. But regardless, we've gotten off topic again. Look at us go, ladies
It's very
and
interesting,
gentlemen.
though.
It is. Well, I mean, I think this episode has showcased how different Ben and my opinions are on the world
We still love food, though.
and its inhabitants and food. But no, I mean, this has been good, and now I want to go out to eat. But I have chicken breast thawed at home. I got to cook, so.
There's a new noodle spot apparently in Morristown.
Oh, there's a new noodle spot. I haven't been. I don't know if it's good. It's called Let's Noodle. It's in Morristown. I really want to
Katie,
go.
let's noodle.
No, let's not. Anyway, you guys, thanks. If you made it this far, bless you. You get a gold star, and I'm hugging you through the phone and the computer and the speakers and all those good things. And like, subscribe, comment, not too mean, please. And thanks so much for listening. We'll see you guys soon.
3, 2,